Hello there. I wasn't expecting you dropping by my YouTube channel. There's so few people around. Well, anyway, welcome. I'm Guildmaster Dan, and this is the second episode of The Fourth Wall. Today we're going to be talking about the role of the Game Master and the two biggest responsibilities therein. Now, granted, originally I was going to do this as a one part, but I'm actually going to split this into two parts because I found of those two responsibilities, I had a surprising lot to say. So this week we're going to talk about making it fun for your players, while next week we're going to talk about running your world fairly. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start talking about how to have fun. There's a lot of different ways to run a game, from old school to new school to narrativism and simulationism. And on top of all of those, every game master out there has their own quirks and rules that they're going to bring to every game that they play. So really, every game master out there is going to run their game differently because each of them have their own style. But regardless of that, every game master across the board has the same two responsibilities, and that's to make their game fun, but fair. Now, as I already said, we're going to be talking about how to run a fair world next week, but this week we're going to talk about how to make it fun for your players. And in order to talk about that, I want to ask you this question. How often do you find yourself asking, how can I make this fun for my players? And more specifically, I mean literally asking yourself, how can I make this session or this adventure fun for Bill or Sarah? How can you build off of their characters' experiences to make a story that's both exciting and fulfilling for everybody involved? Well, the way that you do that is pay attention. Learn your players' characters' interests and ambitions. For example, with interests, when you have your downtime, when you are traveling to someplace or in town, what does the character do? Does the character go to the shrine, or does maybe does he or she go to the tavern to pick someone up or find themselves a fight, or even are they going out on the streets and trying to make themselves a little bit richer? Pay attention to those details because they're very important. Because what you can do is you can present opportunities and craft stories that feel personalized for the player. They really feel like they're participating in a world that they're really a part of when they're given the chance to shine. When you take those opportunities, like a character going out and trying to make himself a little bit of money, and maybe playing with that a little bit. Giving him a rich merchant to pickpocket, but maybe that rich merchant didn't only catch that character's eye. Maybe it caught another character's eye, and maybe that character's a little bit better at it. Now all of a sudden they're confronted with this brand new character, and oh well, where'd this master thief come from? And can I learn from him, or can I beat him? Maybe he's a rival, or maybe he's a mentor. You see what I'm doing here? I'm taking the interest of the character and playing with it. I'm building on the world and on a story for that player to feel involved with, and that will really increase their involvement in your game, as well as really craft a fun experience that really was generated by the player. All you're doing is you're picking up on it and running with it. Same thing for anybody who wants to go out and get into a fight. You can do the same thing. They find themselves in an arena. Well, maybe they win a fight in the arena and they want them to come back. They want that barbarian to go up against, maybe the town over's champion, and maybe starts getting a reputation around, and maybe bigger and bigger arenas are trying to conquer. Your world's building based upon just playing around with your character's interests. And on top of that, they're growing more and more involved in your game. But even beyond just that, learn their ambitions. Find out what your player is trying to do with the character. What is it that they're trying to play? Are they playing an homage character? Sure. Maybe you can look up the source material for that homage character. Maybe they're trying to play uh, Rip Van Winkle from Helsing in your vampires game, um, or maybe even playing, oh, I don't know, Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Well, you could still play with that and make it feel, more personalized for that player. Look up the source material and see what that character does, and throw them a bone every once in a while to make them really feel like they're playing that character. Or, maybe they just want to play a suave, sophisticated swordsman. Well, sure, let them be the suave, sophisticated swordsman. Give them occasion that maybe they impress some noble. They get invited to a party, and maybe they can display their skill for everybody by fencing with his personal guard or something like that. Use the ideas that they're giving you to make a richer experience for them, and they'll thank you for it. But even beyond just building on your world and giving your players opportunities to craft stories with you, there's situations where maybe in your story, maybe it's what you originally came up with, and they're in a combat against a much stronger foe that they're meant to run away from. Well, uh, here's my recommendation: don't be afraid when your players get unorthodox. Maybe with that stronger opponent, even though they're supposed to run away, maybe one of the players comes up with a clever idea on how to get an advantage on that character. Maybe they throw dust in his eye, or maybe they decide to bring the ceiling down on him. Well, just because they're supposed to run away, don't punish them for thinking outside the box. Those are clever ideas. Those are great ways that they might be able to get an advantage. Don't just, brush it off or completely ignore it because maybe there's not rules for that exact situation. Don't be afraid of that. In fact, reward them for being clever, because all that's gonna happen if you just like completely ignore their attempts at being clever is you're going to discourage them from being clever in the future. Don't be afraid of that. Maybe they're supposed to run away from this character. Sure, fine. Maybe they injured him. That doesn't mean they're going to be able to. That doesn't mean they're going to be able to kill him. Maybe they managed to blind a dragon that was otherwise kicking them into the dirt. That doesn't mean that dragon can't still kill them. That doesn't mean it's not dangerous anymore. But maybe it gives them a chance to get away, or maybe it causes the dragon to maybe just swat at them and come back later. Point is, play with those ideas, or maybe they're in a situation where they're going to be carted off to jail, and one of them decides to, oh, maybe I could talk my way out of it. Let them try. I mean, heck, if they can come up with something clever, run with it. It makes it a more personalized experience for that player, and they feel more investment. They're feeling the risk of the situation, and they're coming up with a creative solution around it. That should be rewarded, because think about that. When you're in like those rough situations and you think of something like and you think of something out of left field that might just be crazy enough to work, how awesome is it when it works? When it doesn't work, it's like, oh, well, I guess that was a stupid idea. You're not going to want to try it again. And all you're really doing is you're taking these ideas that your players are otherwise generating and that you might not have thought of, and running with it, making a collaborative story that everybody's involved in and that everybody's excited to play every week. There's other ways to make it fun, but for me, that is like one of the ideal ways, like as a player, how a game master can make it fun for me is to work with me here. I'm throwing out ideas. Take some of those ideas and run with them, because, dude, we're both in this together. You're running the game, but you don't have a game without me. So, yeah. Next week, though, we're going to talk about fairness, and the reason why I'm bringing that up now is because even though I'm advocating working with your players in this collaborative sort of way, you should be aware of the balance between that and being fair. Don't overpower your players in order to cater to their interests. Run with their ideas, but don't start imbalancing your game by throwing them all sorts of magic weapons or, all these super status symbols that really pulls away from what the game's supposed to be about. which like I said, we're going to talk more on that next time. But for now, really, my big suggestion is pay attention to your players, learn their interests and their ambitions, and play with it a little. You don't have to make it all about it, but throw them a bone every once in a while, and you know what? They're going to be a lot happier in your game. Um, if you disagreed with anything I had to say, feel free to leave a comment below, or once again, if you have more suggestions on how I can improve my videos, same thing. Next week, we're going to talk about how to run a fair world. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.